Now, the first ever World Humanitarian Summit has begun in Istanbul, and UN senior officials are highlighting the event as a wake-up call for action. More than 125 heads of state are expected to attend, including German Chancellor Angela Merkel and US Vice President Joe Biden. Delegates will discuss topics such as preventing and ending conflicts, forced displacement and climate change. Well, TRT World's Natasha Exelby joins us now from the summit. Natasha, what exactly is the summit hoping to achieve then?
Well, Paul, this summit was first conceptualised by UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon way back in 2012. He says that the world is currently suffering the worst human suffering it has since World War II. In the last 3 years, 23,000 people have been consulted in the lead up to this summit, and 6,000 of those people from more than 100 countries are attending here today. One of those people who I would like to introduce you to now is Chris Gunness from the United Nations Relief and Workers Agency. Chris, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you with us. Your key area is education, which is also a key point of this summit over the next few days. What are the points which you are hoping to convey to the people here?
We are unveiling at this summit today, in fact, a report that shows that 44%, nearly half of all our schools across the Middle East, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, the West Bank and Gaza, have either been attacked or have been engulfed by conflict, so we couldn't use them. So 70% of our schools in Syria, in the Gaza war in 2014, overwhelmed. 6 of our schools were directly hit by the Israeli army.
So we're talking about almost half of all UN schools directly hit or inoperable. How do you see this summit potentially changing those dire statistics?
Well, that's a very good question, because this summit can only succeed if attacks on education cease, if access to education, a major theme of this summit, is respected. And there has to be political pressure. Without political pressure, this is really a sideshow.
And Chris, my understanding is that in terms of urgency aid funding, only around 2% goes to education. Are you hoping to see that figure bolstered as well?
Absolutely. UNRWA is facing an $81 million deficit, and that means that if by July we don't bridge that deficit, our schools for 500,000 children every day in the Middle East will be delayed, and that means at a time when ISIS are in full recruitment mode and other militant groups, there will be 500,000 kids on the streets of the Middle East and not in UN schools. We have to avoid that. The grand bargain, the idea of Islamic funding, all of that has to kick in. Otherwise, as I say, we're in deep trouble following the summit.
And apart from obviously securing funding and stopping bombings of these schools and so forth, there's also some other bold innovations in terms of getting online schooling and things like that into action that may be coming out of this summit as well, Chris.
Absolutely, and in fact UNRWA has led the way. In Syria we have 43,000 children who are part of our education in emergency program. We have our own dedicated TV channel which beams across confrontation lines education programs. We have interactive learning materials which we're distributing. We have psychosocial counsellors across Syria, across the West Bank, across Lebanon, working in our schools to make sure that hundreds of thousands of deeply traumatized children traumatized by conflict, are able to move on with their lives in dignity.
Some very ambitious goals there, and we certainly hope that you achieve them. Chris Gunness, thank you so much for joining us. Well, the roundtable discussions are almost going to be underway in the next half an hour or so. So education is going to be one of the main highlights. We will be having more guests for you to give you more information about this summit throughout the day, Paul.
Okay, looking forward to it. Natasha, thank you very much.